And there was at that time probably about 50,000 Jews living in that area. Now let's look now at how these Jews believed and what these Jews believed. These Jews had been separated from the economy of the legalistic environment or the ceremonial environment, the economy of the household of God, which was centered around the temple in Jerusalem. That was the headquarters. So these people were cut off. Now, we all know that Jewish people, if you put them near a place of business and banking, they tend to gravitate towards business and banking. So they were doing very well in these areas. They basically monopolized the trade and the industry and commerce in that area, and they lived very well. Now there are letters to indicate that the Jews from Jerusalem wanted them to come back to their homeland. But they didn't want to, because the hot water springs and the wine in the Lyshus Valley was too good to sacrifice, and there was good business there. Now even like today, there are more Jews in New York City than in Israel, because that's where the business is. The money flows from there to there. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. So these people were there, but they were cut off from the sacrificial system and the temple and so on. So as a result of that, and also as a result of the fact that Judaism had become a dead religion, because for 400 years they did not hear God. Now that's longer than what this country has been occupied by human beings. We've been around here for 300 years and or more. I don't know about the Song people, how long they've been here, but modern history indicates that people came to the southern point of Africa about 300 plus years ago. Found certain, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So for 400 years they didn't hear God. And as a result of that, certain bodies of knowledge had developed. We all know about the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the doctors of the law that had developed an elaborate system of approaching God and trying to please God and satisfy God and live right, etc. Those were the people that Jesus had a head-on collision with when he landed on planet Earth. And you know what he said to them? He said to them concerning their religious persuasion, he says, you are of the devil. To those people. They had woven an intricate system of laws. For instance, the Sabbath, just to keep the Sabbath. There were, I think, about 1,600 rules over above the commandment that says, honor the Sabbath. Little rules that you could or should, you had to keep. Otherwise you were violating the Sabbath. You couldn't pluck a hair from your head on the Sabbath day, because that would be like cutting hair. And that would be work. You're not allowed to work on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? Ridiculous laws. There were others that had developed an elaborate system of false humility, saying, well, God is so holy and we are so lowly that we have to have a hierarchy of angels and intermediaries through whom we relate to God. It refers to as false humility and the worship of angels. Now we laugh about that now, but you know, that's a more sophisticated thing than to worship animals and tree trunks and stones. He says the devil can't get you to worship those things that are still being worshipped today on planet Earth. He'll get you into a more sophisticated system of it, like we have with the Roman Catholics, who basically do exactly that. They have, and many of the African religions that deify spirits, ancestral spirits, etc., as a way of approaching God. So in the Jewish culture there was also that. They had synagogues where they had these teachings, like we have church today. Now, the Roman and the Greek mindset, their religious philosophy, had a fatal flaw. Their basic understanding was that flesh is evil and gods are good. and never the twain shall meet. That the gods are up in heaven. If you read Greek mythology, you'll see the gods were making war and having parties and getting drunk and fornicating up there in heaven and doing all sorts of things that they were entitled to do, and they wanted nothing to do with man. They wanted nothing. There's a separation between divinity and humanity. One is evil and one is holy. Never the two shall meet. Now you laugh at that, but that's very much the thinking that has influenced the very cultures that we are in. Separation. So, these were basically the four kinds of people. Now, Paul evangelized some people in Ephesus, in the church. And these people went up and they preached Christ. They preached the revelation that Paul had. Now, can you imagine a little guy called Epaphras pitching up in this metropolis and preaching Christ to these people? Can you imagine what a revolution it must have meant to the lives of these people to discover Christ? So a church was formed. People were saved, or whatever you want to call it. A church was formed consisting of all these people. And Paul gets news in jail. And when he hears this news, Onesimus arrives and he says, I've got good news and I've got bad news. You see, these people love Jesus. They love one another. They are faithful brethren. They are in the Spirit. But then he starts telling Paul what's happening in this church. And alarm bells goes off in Paul's mind. And he sits down and he writes this letter. And he sends Onesimus with this letter 2,000 years ago. From Rome all the way through Italy to the Adriatic Sea, I think. Adriatic Sea. He crosses the Adriatic Sea. Now, traveling those days, not like getting on a bus now. Lusaka, dropped off here, station. It was a walk by foot and by boat, and the hard way. From Rome, from jail, he takes this letter and he's sweating hard and hard with an urgency, all the way across Italy, all the way across the Adriatic Sea, all the way across Greece, all the way across the Asian Sea, never mind, another piece of sea, to probably Ephesus, then another 100 miles by foot up the Latius Valley to a little disappearing church, a fading church, because what Paul heard upset him so much. Because what he heard was one thing that had the potential to destroy the Christian faith as he understood it more than anything else. And this is the letter that we read tonight. Now, what was happening in this church? Have you ever made a stew? Cooking something? And you say, well, why don't we spice it up a little bit? Why don't we add a little bit of this? Yes, something good. Let's drop some of this in. Stir it in. Why don't we add some more of this? See, what was happening, the influences that were coming into the church then was the people